And the streets of Belfast played host yesterday to the Rally for Life, the now annual event promoting the rights of the unborn child. A counter-rally by pro-choice campaigners also took place. We have representatives from both groups on the programme, Rally for Life organiser Bernadette Smyth and pro-choice campaigner Eileen Fegan. What's your reaction, first of all, Eileen, to the news that the Irish government may attempt to introduce limited abortion in the Republic?
I've just listened to Michael, the author of the Irish Catholic Story on the 5th of July, talking about it, and for the life of me, he's a very intelligent man, but for the life of me I cannot actually remember what he said there, because the case that he was talking about, the European Court of Human Rights case in 2010, basically said Ireland must clarify abortion. Michael went on to say that there should be no plans to have a regulatory framework in Ireland. Now, those two things, I don't understand the difference between those two things. If you're clarifying something in law, that means you're necessarily providing a regulatory framework. So the issue for the Irish government is this: do they want to provide clear information on when abortion is legal and illegal, in line with the two judgments, one in the Attorney General and X case of 1992, which said that a risk of suicide was enough to enable a pregnant woman to have an abortion in Ireland, and the second case, ABC, which said the prevention of abortion for a woman who was undergoing chemotherapy treatment was a violation of her Article 8 privacy rights. So what basically the issue is this, if the listeners want clarity. We have been told by two judgments that there needs to be abortion in cases where women's life is at stake. The proposed legislation that Michael Kelly was talking about is simply putting that on the statute book, rather than having it in case court judgments that the members of the public never read or possibly don't understand or ever get to hear about. OK,
Bernie Smith, what's your reaction to this news that there might be limited abortion in the Republic?
Well, first, maybe I should clarify something to Eileen. Abortion is a criminal issue in the south of Ireland. Unborn children are, in fact, protected under the 1861 Offences Against the Persons Act. And that stands. That is the law, regardless of any issues concerning women. Women are given all the medical treatment, as Michael clearly outlined. And I think it's about time the anti-life movement realised that women are not dying in Ireland because they haven't got abortion. I think yesterday proved very, very well, and I think the anti-life movement are fully aware that there's no will for abortion in Ireland. The All-Ireland Rally for Life, as you said there, is fast becoming the most important date on our calendar, and we have seen thousands of people, especially our young people, campaigning for the protection of unborn children, and especially the protection of our laws here that clearly protect mothers and children.
But the fact is that thousands of women are still travelling to England for abortions.
Well, we need to deal with those issues, yeah. We have to deal with the crisis that, in some cases, that women are dealing with, and eliminate the crisis, not the lives of the unborn children. And look at those figures. They have been decreasing over the last numbers of years with good crisis pregnancy support. So we need our government to give us more funding to be able to offer more crisis support for those women in crisis pregnancy abortions.
But those
That's not the answer to any of these problems.
Those falling numbers are easily skewed. I mean, women might have given the address of a relative in the UK. For example, the morning after pill is available in the Republic without prescription.
Well, I mean, I've been working in the pro-life movement for 15 years now, and I can tell you how women do choose life. We see it day in and day out, women who may have had an abortion, but because there was support there, have chosen life and kept their babies. In fact, yesterday at the rally, there was women there who had kept their children, and they had brought them there to show to the pro-abortion movement that, you know, organisations like Precious Life and other groups here are helping mothers in these difficult situations. And they're so grateful that we were there for them. So, I mean, it's like, you know, killing people doesn't solve problems. Helping women in difficult pregnancies is what we need to do as a movement. It's pro-life, it's pro-woman.
If abortion is against the law in Northern Ireland, the logical outworking of your argument is that the authorities should prevent women going to England.
by offering crisis pregnancy support. Yep, but the argument there is, how can they do that? Women can choose. It's just the same. There's drug addiction is illegal here. People travel, but we have to provide a service to support those people in either crisis pregnancies or through drug addiction. Suicide's illegal here. What can we do? We have to provide better resources, better counselling, outreaches for people who are having problems, especially for these women.
But shouldn't people be stopped because they're travelling to commit a crime?
Absolutely, but I mean, at the end of the day, as long as the crime is not committed in this land, that's the most important thing, because the message is very clear there: abortion is illegal, and there's no will for any change. And I mean, are we going to police every border? Are we going to police every airport? Obviously, that's ridiculous. It's not something that we can do. We can't question everyone who travels on a plane. Are you going to have an abortion, commit an illegal act? So, I mean, but we can clearly outline the legislation here. It's a criminal offence to take the life of an unborn child, and it could never be permitted here in Ireland, north or south.
Eileen Fegan, you're shaking your head.
I am shaking my head because not for the first time on the BBC or on other media outlets, the claim has been made that abortion is illegal in Ireland. And I do not want to give your listeners a law lecture, but there are some things they need to know. Bernie Smyth is right. Abortion was prohibited in 1861 under the Offences Against the Person Act. But in 1939, a case called the Bourne case, involving a rape victim who was gang raped by soldiers, was provided with an abortion because she was suicidal. That case applied to Northern Ireland at that time and to Great Britain. It laid down in law that if a woman is going to be a mental or physical wreck as a result of continuing a pregnancy, any doctor in good faith has the protection of law by performing an abortion. That's been law since 1939. In 2004, the Court of Appeal in Northern Ireland reiterated that abortion is legal in certain, though unclear, circumstances. It told the Department of Health in Northern Ireland to issue guidance to let women know when legality was, when they had fulfilled the criteria for legality. Guidelines were issued in 2009. They were since withdrawn after a Spuck case in 2010.
But that's abortion in very limited circumstances.
I just need to clarify that. People out there think there is no basis for legal abortion in Northern Ireland. I am a medical lawyer for 20 years, Mike. I know that there is the legal basis. Now, if Bernie wants to overturn those judgments, she has a right to express that view in a democratic society. And
well, Eileen, I think you should have been present last year at the all-party pro-life group at Stormont when presentation
I tried to get access, but it wasn't allowed in.
The first legal document was launched at Stormont. You can have a copy of that any time. In fact, I think you probably do need a copy, because listening to you here, obviously you haven't even read the judgment made by the courts, that the majority of abortions for women who were travelling to England to have an abortion couldn't have an abortion here because it was illegal. What is legal here is medical treatment, similar to the south of Ireland. The protection of the unborn child stands under the 1861 Offences Against the Persons Act and the 1945 Child Destruction Act, which means it is illegal to have an abortion throughout the whole 9 months of pregnancy. But what is legal is medical treatment. We live in an age where we do not have to destroy children in the womb in order to save the lives of the mother. All medical treatment is given, and we know that. In fact, some of the terminations that are performed in hospitals in Northern Ireland, in fact, are illegal. And I would say when these guidelines, termination of pregnancy guidelines, will be issued, that we will get clarity on the law here through our own health minister in Northern Ireland.
Eileen.
But I'll issue you with that document, Eileen, anytime you would like to read that, because I really think you're very misinformed yourself.
Eileen, is this a healthcare issue or is it a moral issue?
It's a healthcare issue, and the moral issue is giving people information about their own bodies, their own treatment, their own lives. Now, Bernie has made some remarks which, saying that I haven't read judgments is potentially problematic, but we'll talk about that later. The moral issue here, there are there are people who marched on the streets yesterday for life, and I applaud them. We live in a democratic society where you are free to have a public rally to express your views. Some of my best friends describe themselves as pro-life. The issue is it's much easier to express that view in Ireland, north and south, because of the dominance of religious teaching in our schools and the information the public are given to begin with. The information, I am only here today for one reason, to give clear information on what the law in case law says, because the public do not have access to it. Now, there are other information that people don't know, and one of the pieces of information that's really critical is that the first piece of abortion legislation in the UK and Ireland happened in 1803. People think that there has been abortion legislation since the time of Christ. It's only been 209 years. So that's an example of the pieces of information that aren't allowed to be put out there. And what I wanted to say was, we live in a democratic society. That the very basis of that is people should have information. I am not sitting here today arguing for an expansion of the law. I'm arguing for clarity in the law and a piece of a piece of legislation that people would know where they stand. I would like to agree with Bernie Smyth on one point. She said something that's correct. She said that abortions are happening in hospitals in Northern Ireland that are illegal. Abortions. Yes, can I just finish my point, Bernie? Those illegal abortions are those that are carried out for fetal abnormality, because there's no law allowing abortion for fetal abnormality in Northern Ireland, and you are right, those abortions are illegal. So illegal abortions happen in hospitals in Northern Ireland where you cannot get a legal one because you do not have the information on when it is legal or not legal. That's why women travel.
I mean, clearly, if the abortions are performed in Northern Ireland hospitals, I think they round off about 90 plus, they're illegal abortions. Obviously, there's no demand.
If they are for fetal abnormality, they're illegal because we don't have a legislative framework to clarify that.
Yeah, so those women's lives are not in danger. So obviously, we don't have an issue here because abortion is not a medical issue, it's a criminal issue. And I think that needs to be made very clear to the public, and it has been made clear at Stormont last year when Johanna Higgins launched the first legal document on abortion, and that is available online or is available in hard copy, because abortion is not an issue. Looking at it from a moral or a medical point of view, let's look at it from a criminal point of view. It's illegal to destroy an unborn child, whether that child's disabled or whether that child is destroyed for any other reason in Northern Ireland. And I think that that's the will of the people, the politicians and the churches. And the Rally for Life clearly showed that yesterday. There is no will to change the law here, north or south. And organisations like ourselves will continue to ensure that by our campaigns, our rallies and our public street demonstrations.
Eileen Fegan, brief final word.
I'm not surprised that the public is confused. Abortion was made criminal in the 1800s. Two medical exceptions were carved out of that law, one in 1939 and the other clarified in 2004. There are medical exceptions, and all we want is for them to be made clear. 2004 wasn't binding. It wasn't a binding the Court of Appeal is the highest court in Northern Ireland.
OK, this argument will continue, no doubt. We'll have to leave it there. It's 9:25. You're listening to Sunday Sequence with Mike Philpott. A few of your texts coming in on abortion. Bernie's logic is simply irrefutable, says Kevin. On the same subject, Ireland without abortion is the safest place for women to have a baby. Let's keep it that way, and no name attached to that.